Hello, family. Enjoy this relaxing moment with Surly Tales. Remember to hit the like button, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. It means the world to us. Also, share this video with your friends and loved ones, and turn on post notifications so you don't miss future videos from us. Thank you as you do so. Sit back and relax as we dive into the story. Zara Aduke's helicopter touched down on the private airstrip in Lagos with a jolt that rattled her very core. The air was thick with the aroma of jet fuel and salty ocean breeze, a setting that had witnessed both life-saving miracles and the occasional reckless escapade. As the rotors slowed, Zara's mind replayed the adrenaline surge of her mission. The skies had been merciless, yet she'd steered through the chaos with the icy precision that had earned her the nickname Captain Ice Queen. Still, as she disembarked, the last thing she expected was to catch sight of a familiar smirking figure by the hangar. "Told you I'd be here, Zara," called Tari Cole, waving his hand in a carefree, teasing gesture. His voice, light and mischievous, carried over the hum of parked engines. Tari was every bit the playful foil to her seriousness, an aircraft engineer whose brilliance was rivaled only by his knack for turning every encounter into a banter-filled bout of witty repartee. Zara's eyes narrowed. "Really, Tari? After all these years, you still haven't learned when to keep your distance?" she retorted, her tone clipped but laced with an undeniable warmth beneath the barbs. Memories of their teenage years surfaced, a time when Tari's constant teasing had punctuated every moment, even as she struggled to prove herself against the odds. "Maybe I just enjoy watching you squirm, Captain," he replied, stepping closer and leaning casually against a gleaming helicopter. His eyes twinkled with mischief and something deeper, a secret admiration that had only grown with time. The tension between them was palpable, a charged mixture of past rivalry and unspoken attraction. Zara took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. "I'm not here for your theatrics, Tari. I have a briefing and then I'm off," she said, her voice firm. Yet, as she reached for her bag, a folded letter fell out of her flight jacket pocket. Confused, she picked it up. The envelope bore official markings and a signature she didn't recognize. With a frown, Zara tore it open and read the contents. Her heart skipped a beat. The letter announced that she was being reassigned overseas, but there was a condition. One final mission had to be completed before departure, and her co-pilot was none other than Tari Cole. "Is that a joke?" Zara snapped, waving the letter at him. "You're serious? I didn't sign up for a reunion tour." Tari's smile deepened. "Well, I always did believe fate was a bit of a trickster. Looks like fate's given us one more flight together." His tone was both challenging and tender, as if daring her to refuse the twist of destiny. The private airstrip transformed in that moment from a mere runway to the stage of an unfolding drama, a collision of past memories, unspoken grudges, and a spark that refused to die. As they walked toward the briefing room, Tari continued, "Remember that time in flight school when you nearly lost control and I saved you? You always say you don't need saving, but I knew you did." Zara's retort was quick and cutting. "I didn't need saving then, and I don't need it now. I prefer to soar on my own." Still, the playful glint in her eyes betrayed her inner conflict. At the briefing room, the hum of conversation faded into the background as the mission details were laid out. The assignment was classified, a rescue operation over turbulent weather. Zara's mind raced with calculations and risk factors, yet she couldn't shake Tari's persistent presence. His occasional whispers and sidelong glances stirred memories of shared moments in the sky, when danger had forged an unspoken bond between them. After the briefing, as they prepared their gear, Tari leaned in and said, "You know, Zara, sometimes I wonder if your cold exterior is just a cover for the warmth you hide deep inside." Zara paused, her hand hovering over her toolkit, and shot him a look that mingled annoyance with a hint of gratitude. "And sometimes, Tari, I wonder if your constant teasing is just a way to mask how much you care," she replied softly. The words hung between them like a challenge, a dare to face the vulnerability beneath the surface. Stepping back onto the tarmac, the pair stood before their aircraft. The sun dipped low over Lagos, casting long shadows and igniting the horizon in hues of red and orange. In that transient moment, as the cool evening breeze swept over the airstrip, The past and the present collided in a whirlwind of memories and emotions. Zara's heart pounded not just with the thrill of the mission ahead, but with the undeniable realization that Tari's presence was far more than mere annoyance. "Looks like we're in for one wild ride, Captain," Tari said with a chuckle, patting the fuselage of the helicopter. "Buckle up. It's going to be a bumpy flight." Zara couldn't help but laugh, a sound that was rare and sincere. "Don't get ahead of yourself, Cole. I'm in control here." But deep down, she knew that control was an illusion, a fragile veneer over a turbulent sea of emotions. As the night deepened and the final preparations were made, Zara and Tari found themselves sharing a rare moment of silence. The airstrip, now quiet except for the occasional hum of an engine, felt like a cocoon around them. In that silence, every unspoken word and every shared glance carried the weight of years gone by and the promise of an uncertain future. Zara took a deep breath and looked at Tari. "I don't know how I'm going to do this mission with you by my side," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. Tari's expression softened. "Maybe you won't. Maybe together we'll find a way." Their eyes met, and in that moment, the chaos of the landing strip transformed into the calm before a storm that would challenge both their skills and their hearts. The night settled in as the aircraft roared to life, marking the beginning of a journey that promised danger, discovery, and the slow unraveling of two intertwined destinies. With each step, Zara and Tari stepped deeper into the unpredictable airspace of life, where every takeoff and landing was a dance with fate. The night air at the pilot party was heavy with the scent of engine oil and laughter, mingling with the spicy tang of Nigerian cuisine. Strings of fairy lights crisscrossed the open-air venue, casting a playful glow over the revelers. Amid the cacophony of upbeat music and clinking glasses, Zara found herself reluctantly drawn into a game of dares. Her eyes rolled as Tari swaggered over with his signature mischievous grin. "Come on, Zara," Tari urged, a playful lilt in his tone. "It's a dare, not an execution. Just admit your worst mistake in aviation. After all, we're all friends here." He waved a half-empty bottle of palm wine, his eyes dancing with mischief. Zara's lips pressed into a thin line. "My worst mistake? I've had plenty, but I doubt any of them compare to the embarrassment of your endless teasing." The retort drew laughter from the surrounding crowd, and even a few nods of approval from fellow pilots. Yet, in that teasing, there was an undercurrent of challenge that Zara both resented and secretly relished. Not one to be outdone, Tari leaned forward, lowering his voice conspiratorially. "I dare you to let me make you say yes to anything I propose within the next 24 hours. No tricks, no loopholes, just a clear, simple yes." The challenge sparked a ripple of excitement among the onlookers, their eyes darting between the two. Zara's gaze narrowed as she met his. "You're on, Tari. But know this, I never lose a bet." Her voice was cool, yet the thrill in her tone betrayed her inner excitement. The dare was simple yet absurdly risky, a flirtatious gamble that had long been a part of their unspoken rivalry. They shook on it, sealing the bet with an unspoken promise that whatever happened next, neither of them would back down. As the party roared around them, the atmosphere shifted into a heady mix of adrenaline and playful provocation. Tari's challenge was more than just a game, it was a battle of wills that neither intended to lose. Over the next few hours, Tari spared no effort in testing Zara's resolve. He orchestrated elaborate scenarios designed to catch her off guard, a staged proposal at the bar, complete with a clumsy serenade and a sudden burst of confetti from an overenthusiastic DJ. "Say yes, Zara," Tari implored in a theatrically exaggerated manner, "and let's make this night one to remember." The crowd cheered, and even Zara couldn't help but smile at the absurdity of it all. Later, as the party moved outdoors near the airstrip, Tari upped the ante. With a sudden burst of energy, he led a spontaneous flash mob, enlisting the help of several intoxicated pilots. The performance was wild and unpredictable. Dancers in flight suits twirled around a makeshift runway, while Tari, ever the showman, called out, "One more dare, one more chance. Captain Ice Queen, your move." Zara's heart raced as she tried to maintain her cool. She dodged Tari's advances with quick wit and agile retorts, yet deep inside, she felt the flicker of something she had long resisted. As midnight approached, the party reached a fever pitch. Amid the laughter and boisterous cheers, the night took an unexpected turn. An urgent call crackled over the loudspeakers, a report of a child in distress near the airfield. Without hesitation, Tari and a few others rushed to the scene. Zara, despite her earlier resistance, followed, her mind swirling with conflicting thoughts. The dare, the party, and all the teasing now seemed trivial compared to the call for help. The situation was dire. A young child, separated from a parent, was stranded near a damaged aircraft amid gusty winds. Tari's quick thinking and calm demeanor shone as he organized a rescue. In the midst of chaos, Zara found herself assisting, her professional instincts taking over. Amid the flurry of coordinated action and shouted instructions, Tari turned to her, his eyes alight with urgency. "Zara, I need you now. Hand me the defibrillator." In that breathless moment, time seemed to slow. The adrenaline, the party, the relentless banter, all receded into the background as Zara focused on saving a life. Without a second thought, she responded, "Yes, Tari, I'm with you." The single word, yes, sliced through the tension like a beacon of hope. It wasn't a casual acquiescence to his dare. It was an instinctive, life-affirming response to the crisis at hand. After the rescue, as calm was restored and the crowd's cheers gave way to heartfelt gratitude, Tari's eyes gleamed with triumph. Later, as the night wound down and the party began to disperse, he clapped Zara on the back and declared, "Well, Captain, you said yes. And that, my dear, means you're bound by our bet." Zara's protest was immediate. "You can't be serious," she snapped, though her tone was laced with a blend of amusement and exasperation. That was one word in an emergency, not an eternal promise. But Tari, ever the playful instigator, produced a document, a hastily scribbled marriage registration that bore both their signatures. "Rules are rules," he said with a wink. "In front of everyone here, you've agreed to be my wife, for the next 24 hours at least." The declaration sent shockwaves through the remaining guests, who erupted in a mixture of laughter and disbelief. Zara's cheeks burned as she scanned the document. "This is absurd," she insisted, her voice trembling between indignation and reluctant amusement. "I can't be married because of one moment of crisis." Tari shrugged, his smile warm and unrepentant. "Absurdity is the spice of life, Zara. Besides, think of it as an experiment, a trial run for what we might be." Their banter continued into the early hours of the morning, filled with witty repartees and half-serious challenges. Despite her protests and attempts to undo the registration, the legal technicalities, and the insistence of the civil registrar who found the document inexplicably valid, left Zara with little choice. "Fine," she muttered as she slumped against a wall under the starry sky. "But I'm holding you to a 7-day trial. If I still hate you by then, we'll call it off." Tari's eyes softened as he replied, 7 days of us is 7 days closer to knowing what we really mean to each other." Amid the lingering strains of music and the quiet murmurs of the departing crowd, the stupid bet had evolved into something neither had expected. In that moment, as the night whispered secrets of chance and fate, Zara and Tari found themselves teetering on the brink of a journey that promised both chaos and the possibility of something far more enduring than any dare could capture. In the sterile, humming confines of the civil registry office, the unexpected twist of fate was only beginning to reveal its absurdity. Zara's protestations from the previous night had evolved into a baffling bureaucratic nightmare. A marriage certificate, hastily signed during a chaotic pilot party, now lay on the counter as proof of her accidental union with Tari Cole. The office was modest, with pale walls and a long, worn desk that had witnessed more mundane lives than soaring adventures. Yet today, it bore witness to a drama that could only belong to the world of high-flying daredevils. Zara's eyes darted between the official document and the incredulous civil registrar, a middle-aged woman with spectacles perched on her nose. "This has to be a mistake," Zara insisted, her voice trembling between anger and disbelief. "I never intended to marry you. It was one reckless moment during an emergency." The registrar, unfazed by the chaos of emotions, replied in a measured tone, The document is legally binding. Our system recognizes it as valid registration. Both parties have signed. Her words echoed with the cold finality of bureaucracy, leaving Zara feeling trapped in a farcical reality. At that moment, Tari Cole entered the office with his usual confident stride and a lopsided grin that belied the seriousness of their predicament. "Morning, Mrs. Registrar," Tari greeted with a playful tilt of his head. "I see our accidental matrimony has caused quite the stir." His voice carried a mixture of mischief and sincerity, as if he were challenging fate itself. Zara's eyes narrowed. "Accidental? Tari, this is no accident. It's an abomination," she snapped, gesturing at the certificate. "How can you be so calm about this? You forced me into a marriage I never agreed to." Tari's smile softened as he approached her. "Zara, you know I never meant to hurt you. It all started as a stupid bet, a dare that got out of hand." He leaned against the counter and continued, "But maybe this is an opportunity, a chance for us to see what life as Mrs. Cole might really be like." His tone was earnest, revealing a hope that lay beneath his usual levity. The registrar cleared her throat, drawing their attention back to the matter at hand. "I must remind you both that until an annulment is mutually agreed upon and processed through proper channels, this marriage is legally binding," she stated firmly. The words hung in the air, heavy with consequence. A small crowd had gathered in the waiting area, a mixture of curious onlookers and fellow aviation professionals who had heard whispers of the bizarre turn of events. Their eyes sparkled with amusement and disbelief, as if witnessing a live spectacle. Tari exchanged a glance with a few of them, shrugging as if to say that life was never short on surprises. Zara paced the floor, her frustration mounting. "I can't believe I'm stuck with this," she murmured, half to herself and half to Tari. "I have a reputation to maintain, and now this circus is tarnishing it." Tari stepped closer, lowering his voice so that only she could hear. "Maybe it's time to rethink what reputation means, Zara. All our lives, we've flown above expectations and defied the odds. Perhaps this is just another flight, unexpected turbulence on our journey." His words were gentle, yet carried an undercurrent of challenge. A pause ensued as Zara looked into his eyes, searching for the familiar spark that had always made his teasing both infuriating and irresistible. "A flight with you, Tari, is never dull," she admitted reluctantly. "But I'm not signing up for a permanent detour because of a stupid bet." "Then let's treat it as a trial run," Tari proposed, his tone shifting to one of determined optimism. 7 days. 7 days to explore this accidental marriage. If by the end of it you still feel the same, I'll honor your wish and get the annulment. But if you discover that there's something real in all this chaos, maybe we can chart a new course." The registrar, who had been silently observing the exchange, interjected, "I must advise you both that any change in status must be communicated formally. However, I will leave it to your discretion to decide how you wish to proceed." The office fell silent for a moment as Zara and Tari absorbed the gravity of their situation. The absurdity of their predicament was underscored by the sterile surroundings, a place where human emotions were often reduced to paper and signatures. Yet, as the reality set in, so did a strange sense of possibility. Zara exhaled slowly, her eyes glistening with a mixture of frustration and a dawning curiosity. "Fine," she said at last, her voice resolute. 7 days, Tari. But know this, I'm not doing this for you, or for any bet. I'm doing this to prove that I can rise above a farce and find something genuine in all this mess." Tari reached out, gently taking her hand in his. "I promise you, Zara, these 7 days will be about more than just a silly bet. They'll be about finding out who we really are when we're stripped of our facades, when we're simply two people, soaring together or crashing apart." A ripple of murmurs and nods of approval passed through the small audience in the waiting area. Even the registrar seemed to soften, acknowledging the sincerity that had emerged from the tension. With a final nod to the official rules and a shared understanding of the challenge ahead, Zara and Tari stepped out of the registry office together, leaving behind a paper-bound contract and stepping into an uncharted journey. Outside, the morning sun broke through the clouds, illuminating the tarmac with a golden glow, a fitting backdrop for a new chapter that promised equal parts chaos, discovery, and unexpected tenderness. As they walked side by side, the world of aviation, with all its high-stakes risks and adrenaline-fueled moments, now seemed to mirror the turbulence of their own hearts. In that moment, the accidental marriage was not merely a mistake to be undone but a wild adventure waiting to be explored, one that would test the boundaries of pride, passion, and the undeniable bond forged in the skies. Zara's hands trembled slightly as she rifled through an old leather-bound journal in Tari's cramped workshop, the scent of engine grease and aged paper mingling in the small space. The journal, tucked away behind blueprints and spare parts, was filled with Tari's meticulous scribbles, notes on flight performance, technical diagrams, and, most unexpectedly, intimate observations of Zara. As she turned each fragile page, her eyes lingered on lines that spoke of admiration and tenderness, revealing a side of Tari that she had never truly seen before. One entry in particular caught her attention. Zara's determination is like the steady hum of a well-tuned engine, silent, yet powerfully inspiring. I remember how she saved our flight school team by letting her skills shine when I faltered, even taking the blame to keep our spirits high. The words stung with the bittersweet taste of regret and unspoken affection. In that moment, Zara realized that Tari's playful banter and constant teasing were not simply the marks of a rival, but the language of someone who had long admired her from afar. A soft knock at the door interrupted her reverie. Tari stepped into the workshop, his eyes curious and a bit vulnerable. "I see you found my secret archive," he said, his tone gentle yet tinged with apprehension. Zara closed the journal carefully and met his gaze, her voice low. "I had no idea you kept all of this," she admitted. "All these words, they show a side of you that I never expected." Tari hesitated before replying, "I always thought my notes were just a record of flights and fixes. But sometimes, I let my heart wander onto the pages. I wanted to remember every moment, the times when you shone brightest, even when you didn't know you were being watched." His admission was quiet, almost reverent, and it left a heavy silence in its wake. They sat together on a worn bench surrounded by scattered papers and faded photographs of past adventures. Zara's mind whirled with conflicting emotions. For years, she had dismissed Tari's teasing as a source of annoyance, never suspecting that behind every jibe lay a genuine admiration. "All this time," she murmured, "you were cheering me on in secret?" Tari's eyes softened as he nodded. "I was always proud of you, Zara. Even when I ribbed you mercilessly, it wasn't to hurt you, it was my way of showing that I cared. I wanted you to see that I believed in you, even when you doubted yourself." His voice wavered, revealing the depth of his feelings. A fragile smile began to form on Zara's lips as she recalled memories of their youthful rivalry, moments when Tari had discreetly corrected her mistakes during training, or when he had taken the fall for a minor error to protect her reputation. "I remember," she said slowly, "that time during flight school when I broke down after a failed landing and you stayed by my side, refusing to let me leave until I had regained my confidence. I thought it was just stubbornness on your part, but now I see it was so much more." Tari reached out, his hand hovering tentatively over hers. "I never wanted you to think I was just a prankster or a nuisance," he said softly. "Every tease, every laugh. It was always because I cared too much to let you struggle alone." The workshop's ambient light shifted as dusk settled outside, lending an almost surreal glow to the intimate conversation. Zara's anger and frustration from their past mishaps began to dissolve, replaced by a dawning realization that Tari had been an unexpected guardian in disguise. "I used to think your words were only meant to provoke me," she confessed. "But maybe I was too blinded by my own pride to see the truth." Tari squeezed her hand gently. "I know it's not easy to admit, especially when we've spent years hiding behind our armor of jokes and challenges. But sometimes, the bravest thing we can do is let someone in, to let them see the parts of us we keep hidden." A long moment passed as the two sat in silent understanding, the weight of unspoken confessions hanging between them. Zara closed her eyes and allowed herself to remember not just the pain of past rivalries, but also the quiet moments when Tari's presence had been a steadying force in the turbulence of her career. Maybe I've been too quick to judge, she whispered, opening her eyes to meet his. Maybe the person I thought I hated was trying to show me something all along. The sincerity in his gaze melted the final layers of her resistance. I never set out to win a bet or to force a future on you, Tari said, his voice earnest. I just wanted you to know that even in the midst of chaos, there's a place where you belong, right beside me. Zara's heart pounded as she absorbed his words, the revelations in the journal echoing in her mind. The pages were filled with every small act of kindness, every moment of bravery that Tari had witnessed in her, and for the first time, she allowed herself to see the possibility of a connection that transcended their past conflicts. I'm not sure what this means for us, she replied, her tone tentative yet hopeful, but I'm willing to explore it. I want to understand all the layers of you, the jokes, the challenges, and the love that's been hidden in these pages. Tari's smile was quiet and full of promise. Then let's take this journey together, he suggested. No bets, no dares, just two people discovering what lies beyond the flight suit and the facade. Let's find out if we can navigate the turbulence of our hearts as skillfully as we do the skies. As night deepened outside the workshop window, the two sat side by side surrounded by memories of flights past and dreams of future journeys. The journal lay open on the bench between them, a testament to vulnerability and the unexpected beauty of understanding one another. In that quiet, candlelit space, Zara and Tari began to rewrite the narrative of their relationship, one honest page at a time, leaving behind the masks of rivalry and embracing the truth hidden behind the flight suit. Zara stood at the edge of the tarmac as dawn broke, the pale light reflecting off the polished surfaces of parked aircraft. The air felt heavy with unsaid words and a sorrow that seeped into every corner of her heart. Last night's events had left her raw and confused, and now, with Tari's departure looming like an impending storm, she struggled to maintain the facade of indifference she had so carefully built over years. Today, the silence between them was more deafening than any argument could be, and every second felt like a lifetime suspended in the fragile space between hope and despair. Inside the small apartment they had reluctantly shared as part of their accidental marriage trial, Tari packed his belongings with a methodical calm that contrasted sharply with the turmoil raging inside Zara. He folded shirts and stowed away personal mementos, each item a reminder of moments when laughter had replaced anger and rivalry had given way to something gentler. As he zipped up a worn leather duffel bag, his eyes met Zara's across the room. For a moment, neither spoke, the weight of unexpressed feelings pressed upon them. I'm sorry if I pushed too hard, Tari murmured, his voice soft and uncertain. Zara's gaze fell, her heart aching with regret and fear of what the future might hold without him by her side. Earlier that night, Tari had handed her the annulment papers, a final act of resignation that left her reeling. All I ever wanted was to be close to you, he had said, his tone carrying a mix of desperation and resolve. The words, simple and raw, echoed in her mind as she replayed every shared glance and every tender moment they had experienced. Now, with the reality of his imminent departure setting in, Zara felt the bitter sting of regret. She had spent years fighting the idea of attachment, convinced that independence was the only way to survive in a world that demanded perfection. But as she looked at Tari's retreating figure, her resolve began to crumble like a brittle facade. Unable to bear the sight of him leaving, Zara rushed outside, her steps hurried and desperate. The cool morning air hit her face as she sprinted toward the aircraft where Tari was about to board a small private jet. "Tari," she called out, her voice cracking with emotion. The sound of her plea caught his attention, and he turned, his eyes wide with surprise and a flicker of hope. For a moment, time seemed to suspend as they faced each other amidst the scattered luggage and the soft hum of pre-flight engines. "Tari," he began, but she cut him off, her voice trembling as she declared, "I can't let you leave without knowing how much I need you." His expression shifted instantly, a mixture of astonishment and tender concern etching his features. "Zara, I never imagined you'd feel this way," he said slowly, each word laden with emotion. "I've been chasing you not to trap you, but to show you that despite all our fights and foolish bets, my heart has always been yours." The intensity of his confession mingled with the raw vulnerability in her eyes, And for a heartbeat, the world around them seemed to vanish. "I've been so scared of losing you," Zara admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "I thought if I could push you away, I could save myself from the pain of love. But now, watching you leave, I realize that the fear of losing you is far greater than any fear of getting hurt." Tari stepped closer, his hand gently cupping her cheek. "I understand that fear," he murmured, "and I'm willing to risk it all if it means staying with you." Their voices blended with the rising hum of the jet engines, a symphony of emotions that echoed over the tarmac as they stood on the precipice of a decision that could alter the course of their lives forever. The jet's engines roared as a final reminder of time slipping away. With a trembling exhale, Zara stepped closer, her hand finding Tari's in a silent plea for connection. In that instant, the distance between them evaporated, replaced by a mutual understanding that love, in its most vulnerable form, required courage to embrace. "I don't want this to be our goodbye," she whispered, her voice resolute yet tender. Tari squeezed her hand in response, his eyes promising that despite the uncertainties ahead, they would find a way to navigate the turbulence together. As the morning sun bathed them in golden light, the fear of separation gave way to a fragile hope. With hearts intertwined and souls daring to dream, they chose to stand together at the threshold of a new beginning, ready to face whatever storms the future might bring. In that fleeting moment of clarity, Zara understood that the heart's journey was as unpredictable as the skies they once navigated with fearless abandon. Each step forward was a testament to vulnerability and resilience, a quiet revolution against the chains of pride. As she looked into Tari's eyes one final time before he boarded the jet, she silently vowed to cherish every moment they shared. No matter where life's winds would take them, their intertwined paths would always lead back to the home found in one another's embrace. Their love would defy every raging storm. Zara stood at the edge of the runway as the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, casting golden hues on the dewy tarmac. The night's tumult had given way to a fragile calm, yet her heart thundered with the weight of decisions made and promises yet unfulfilled. This was the moment of truth, a final confrontation with fate that would determine the course of her future. The chaotic journey of anger, rivalry, and reluctant affection had led her here, to this decisive hour. Earlier that night, amid the roar of engines and the hum of whispered regrets, Tari had boarded his private jet to leave behind the turbulence of their shared past. His words, heavy with sorrow and determination, had left Zara reeling. "Tari! Wait!" The cry carried the weight of years of unspoken words and the desperate hope of a heart unwilling to let go. At the sound of her call, Tari paused at the jet's doorway, turning slowly to face the woman who had been both his fiercest adversary and his closest companion. His eyes, still reflecting the melancholy of farewell, now filled with cautious hope as he saw Zara approaching. "Zara," he began, his tone soft and tentative, "I never wished to lose you, even if I believed it was for the best." His voice trembled with the vulnerability he had long hidden behind playful jibes and challenging dares. Zara's eyes glistened with unshed tears as she stepped forward, the distance between them closing with every heartbeat. "All these years, I have pretended that my independence meant nothing, but now I see that the freedom I craved was the freedom to love without fear." Her words tumbled out in a rush, each syllable carrying the weight of regret and the promise of a new beginning. "I have always admired your strength, Zara," he said, his voice filled with a quiet intensity. "Even when our paths diverged and our words clashed, my heart never stopped believing in the possibility of us." The sincerity in his gaze shone brighter than the morning sun as he took her hand in his, the contact sealing a bond that had been forged in the skies and tempered by time. In that stillness, every memory, the heated exchanges, the stolen smiles, the moments of desperate rescue, merged into a singular tapestry of shared destiny. "I lost the bet, Tari," Zara finally said, her voice gaining strength with each word, "but I've been saying yes to you for longer than I dared to admit." A smile slowly spread across Tari's face, a mixture of relief and newfound resolve. "Does this mean," he began, his words catching in the swell of emotion, "that you will fly with me not as an enemy, but as my partner, my equal?" His question, tender and full of hope, was met by Zara's determined nod. "Yes, Captain," she replied, the title a promise and an acknowledgement of their shared journey. "I will marry you, not because of a dare or a fleeting whim, but because I have finally learned that my heart has always belonged to you." Their voices, now united in a single, heartfelt declaration, resonated over the quiet airfield. With every word, the past was rewritten, and the uncertain future began to take shape. The jet's engines roared to life once more, as if heralding a new beginning, and the first rays of sunlight broke over the horizon, bathing them in a celestial glow. Hand in hand, Zara and Tari stepped aboard the aircraft, leaving behind the remnants of a painful past and embracing the promise of tomorrow. Their journey would not be without challenges. There would be turbulence, miscommunications, and moments when the weight of their history threatened to pull them apart, but in that moment, they chose to face the future together. Each step they took was a testament to the bravery required to love, to forgive, and to rebuild. As the aircraft ascended into the vibrant sky, a montage of their shared memories played in their minds: the laughter, the tears, the daring rescues, and the quiet moments of understanding. The air around them was filled with the promise of a new chapter, one where every flight would be a testament to the power of transformation and the strength of a love that had weathered storms. Zara looked out at the vast expanse of the sky, her heart soaring with the realization that this was only the beginning of their true journey. "Yes, Captain," she thought, smiling as her heart finally took flight, as they embarked on this wild adventure together. The end. If you enjoyed this story, we invite you to give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Your support motivates us to keep bringing heartwarming stories almost every day. We are very grateful for your support. See you soon.